So this is always a very wonderful highlight of the year, certainly for me, and I hope for all of you, when we can sort of reflect on all of the accomplishments of the Pritzker School of Medicine, and that's the collective accomplishments of our students, the faculty, and it really is a wonderful story, I think you know. In the last number of years, we have really done a number of extraordinary things. There's been a roadmap to professionalism, the Pritzker Initiative, Curriculum for the 21st Century, which is an extremely innovative and forward-thinking initiative, the Pritzker Advising and Mentoring Societies, the Academy of Distinguished Medical Educators, the Bowman Society, a whole variety of accomplishments that really are, I think, quite extraordinary. And, you know, as I said, these are all a combination of the students, the faculty, but I think in particular the leader of the school, Holly Humphrey, and she's made extraordinary contributions to the success of the school, has really transformed it since she's been in this role. And it's always a pleasure to acknowledge her and to listen to her, and I'm looking forward to a treat again this year. So thank you very much, Holly, for all of these wonderful accomplishments.
Thank you, Ken. Well, thank you very much, Ken. It's a great pleasure to be here presenting the annual State of the School address. I can tell you that it never gets old because of all of you. You and your accomplishments make this an exciting and really an inspiring presentation to give. The most difficult part of giving this presentation is that I obviously cannot acknowledge and highlight each and every one of you and your accomplishments. And so let me just say as a disclaimer right up front that you and your accomplishments are worthy of great praise, and I will be highlighting tonight only a handful, only a few of those things that for one reason or another have risen to a level that I wanted to share with a broader audience. So let me also say at the very beginning that I get to be the spokesperson for the work of a very talented team of faculty, staff, and students. And so if at the end of this presentation you have congratulations, I hope you will share those with the students, staff, and faculty who have made all of this possible. If you are unhappy with the presentation, you are definitely welcome to share that with me. Okay, so let's get started. We are going to once again use the Prezi presentation format because I am going to cover a lot of information, and I would like to say right up front that the individual who is responsible for making this Prezi presentation happen is one of the newer members of the staff in the Pritzker School of Medicine, Rebecca Silverman. So Rebecca, thank you. Okay, so the date was January 2nd, 2015. It was about 9:30 at night. The temperatures were below zero. And I started getting some email activity coming across my email account with interesting subject lines, such as fire in the BSLC. And in fact, it was a fire in the student lounge in the BSLC that started off 2015. My first thought was, well, last year, in January of 2014, we started the year off with a major snowstorm, so major that we actually had to cancel class. I think the one and only time the University of Chicago has ever canceled class. This year, 2015, we were starting the new year off with a fire in the student lounge because of an overheated water cooler. Now, while many of you were at home enjoying warm, whatever you do on a Friday night, there was one individual, this young man, Don Chirilla, who with his two young children came to the BSLC literally in the middle of the night. I think they were still here at 2 a.m. on January 3rd, assessing the extent of the damage. I wanted to share Don Chirilla's photo because I think it is in a very major way an example of the way in which the staff of our medical center and our medical school provide the infrastructure that allow our systems to work, whether that's morning, noon, or night, or even in the middle of the night. It also caused me to reflect on another fire, the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. Now, our little fire in the student lounge in the BSLC was certainly not at the same caliber of the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, but the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, time does not permit me to go into the many interesting details about that fire, but it is of note that almost 20 years after the Great Chicago Fire, there was a brand new phoenix that was arising from the ashes on the south side of Chicago, the phoenix which became the symbol of this university. And it was, in fact, 19 years after the Great Chicago Fire that this university was founded. And this phoenix rising from the ashes, together with this motto, I think provide a framework for the kinds of highlights that I'd like to share with you this evening. So the ideas and research that are generated on this campus, in fact, become the skyscrapers for the rebuilt Chicago city. It's also the case that the faculty, students, and alumni of our medical school are the architects, and hence the blue background architecture paper for tonight's presentation. And it's the hospital and university that serve as our community. So let's start with the ideas and research, those ideas and research that are built as the skyscrapers. I don't have time to go through all of our ideas because there are too many, but let me highlight a few. One of the ideas that has created a major fire in this country is the lack of health care coverage for many Americans. That is obviously being addressed. One of the ways it's being addressed, which you may not know about, is through a grassroots organization that directly addresses the increased costs of care. And that grassroots organization is called the Costs of Care. It was actually founded by a young junior faculty member at Brigham and Women's Hospital, another one at UCSF, and by our own Vinnie Arora. And those three individuals have a terrific website, and I recommend it to you. It's actually called Costs of Care. And through Vinnie's efforts, she and a number of our students and now residents have been actively engaged in working on a whole variety of innovative projects related to costs of care. Check it out. Another major fire, well known to all of us, is the lack of consensus about the doctor-patient relationship. We, I think, are positioned very well on this campus because of the Bucksbaum Institute, founded in 2011. I hope you saw, but you may have missed, in this January 18th Sunday New York Times, there were a whole number of letters written in response to Ezekiel Emanuel's paper editorials stating that there was no longer a need for the annual physical exam. Well, among the letters to the editor published on Sunday, January 18th, were letters submitted by two Pritzker alumni. Now, these are not the entire letters. These are just very brief excerpts. Lydia Dugdale today is an assistant professor at the Yale University School of Medicine, and she is a graduate of the Pritzker School of Medicine class of 2006. Josh Williams is currently in his pediatric residency at the University of Colorado in Denver. And when I was reading the newspaper that Sunday, I sent an email to Dean Polonsky and I said, hey, take a look. Two of those letters in today's New York Times are written by our alumni. And a little while later, he wrote back to me and he said, Holly, I'm proud to say that those were the two best letters in today's New York Times. Another fire is the fact that healthcare crises are occurring all around us, both locally and globally. We are doing our best to try to address those healthcare crises. One example is through expansion of care. This is our Comer Pediatric Children's Hospital, and recently Dean Polonsky and Sharon O'Keefe made the decision to expand care for level 1 pediatric trauma patients to include children who are 16 and 17 years old. That is still working its way through the system, but they are out in front having made that proposal. Another example is the way in which our hospital has been recognized as a national Ebola treatment center. This is just a sample, a part of the Ebola response team that has received many accolades, both locally and nationally, for their training and preparedness to attack Ebola. Another fire is the great explosion in biomedical research. In fact, it's one of the most exciting movements in the 21st century. And I obviously don't have time to detail all the ways in which our faculty and students have contributed to advancing the biomedical research agenda, but I wanted to share just one small highlight with you, and that highlight is right here. The students in our scholarship and discovery portion of the Pritzker Initiative curriculum, those who are working on a research project with a faculty member in the graduating classes since the Pritzker Initiative began, 2013 and 2014, and then the percent who have authored a research paper submitted for publication, and you see these numbers compared with the national averages from all of the medical schools taken together in aggregate. And then finally, authorship of a peer-reviewed oral or poster presentation, and again compared with the national average. Now, it's also the case that in 2014, so a single calendar year, our medical students presented this research at over 100 national scientific meetings, including the American Society of Surgery, the Society of Hospital Medicine, the Society of General Internal Medicine, the Association of American Medical Colleges Group on Educational Affairs, the Association of American Medical Colleges Integrating Quality Meeting, the Learn, Serve, Lead meeting, and the Consortium of Universities for Global Health. Another fire is the lack of diversity in the physician workforce. This is one of our nation's most important and most compelling challenges, and one in which we have tried to be very much on the front lines of trying to tackle the problem and hopefully come up with innovative solutions. This particular year, I had the great honor of being the honorary co-chair of the National Medical Foundation's celebration right here in Chicago, where a number of students, residents, and faculty members were honored for their contributions to diversity of the physician workforce in this country. We had a number of individuals who received awards, including our own Rachel Stone, second-year medical student, Amber Price, one of our residents in the Department of Pediatrics, and Dovey Watson, one of our residents in the Department of Medicine. The two residents received awards through the National Medical Foundation for their contributions to scholarly work on behalf of disparities, and I'll say more about Rachel's award momentarily. For next year's National Medical Faculty Foundation celebration, Monica Vella has already been invited to be the speaker. We have also, as a medical school and graduate medical education programs, expanded our presence at the Society, the SNMA National Meeting, where last year we had more residencies present at that meeting than any other school in the entire country. We made a big splash, and I hope generated a lot of enthusiasm among prospective students and residents to take their medical education experience with us on this campus. We also have expanded our visiting clerkship program for fourth-year medical students, which was originally started by Jim Woodruff in the Department of Medicine, to now include the departments of pediatrics and surgery, where fourth-year medical students from other medical schools come and do a one-month rotation here and hopefully apply to our residency programs as the first step in our ability to try to recruit them and then diversify our workforce. Now, some of you may recognize this man. This man, Franklin MacLean, he's actually the founder of the medical school, 1927, the founder of this medical school. But because I had the opportunity to be the honorary co-chair of the National Medical Foundation's gala, I learned a lot more about Franklin MacLean because the National Medical Foundation says this about the founding dean of our school. And I quote from their website. The NMF was founded in 1946 in the city of Chicago by Franklin MacLean, an eminent physician who saw well before the rest of the nation that the lack of opportunities for African American physicians was a deep problem for our nation, that we needed more minority physicians to achieve basic equality of opportunity and to ensure access to quality health care for millions of poor and minority Americans. This was true in 1946, and it is still true today. End of quote. So Franklin MacLean, the founding dean of our school, was also the founding dean of the National Medical Foundation's Fellowship. 10 years ago, this medical school founded the Bowman Society as a living legacy to Dr. James Bowman, our very first African-American physician, faculty physician, to earn tenure in the Biological Sciences Division at the University of Chicago for his work related to sickle cell disease. This year will mark the 10th anniversary of the founding of that society, which was founded to raise awareness of healthcare disparities and to provide a mentoring society for our students, residents, and junior faculty members. 45 lectures have been held over the 10-year history of our Bowman Society. And so I hope many of you will choose to join us on the occasion of April 9th when Raynard Kington, the current president of Grinnell College, will serve as our Bowman Society speaker on the occasion when we will celebrate our 10th anniversary. We have other architects who have helped us build these skyscrapers, and they include just a few of the faculty who I'm going to be highlighting here today. Monica Vella won a very important award from the Society of General Internal Medicine for her work related to minority health and reducing healthcare disparities. Marshall Chin was elected president of the Society of General Internal Medicine with more than 3,000 members, and he will officially take over as president in April or May of this year, 2015. Fumi Olopati will receive the Franklin D. Roosevelt Freedom from Want Medal in September of 2015. She will receive that award by standing alongside Joe Biden and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I think they will both be in very good company. David Meltzer received the 2014 John Eisenberg Excellence in Mentoring Award from the AHQR, an organization that he has been intimately involved with, and more importantly, the scores of students, residents, and faculty who David has mentored over his time on the faculty at the University of Chicago. And just last night, we learned that Shalini Reddy is the recipient of the 2015 award from the Clerkship Directors in Internal Medicine, the Charles H. Griffith III Education, Research, and Scholarship Award, and she will be delivering an address at their annual meeting next fall. We also have architects who come in the form of leaders for our medical school, and this year, Barrett Fromey was appointed the Director of Faculty Development in Medical Education. Jeannie Farnan, with the turn of the calendar page, took over as the Assistant Dean for Curricular Development and Evaluation after serving spectacularly as the Director of Evaluation for the Pritzker Initiative. And Rachel Wolfson just recently was named Co-Director of Scholarship and Discovery with Vinnie Aurora. Wei Wei Lee was named our Assistant Dean of Students and Director of Wellness Programs, and just this week, a new logo for Pritzker Wellness Programs was unveiled after we had a little internal competition among our students, and Kunmi class of 2014 submitted the winning entry. Ross Milner was appointed Huggins Society advisor. Ross is a member of our Department of Surgery, and Rex Hayden serves as chair of Admissions Committee number 1, a brand new appointment for Rex, a graduate of our medical school and a very busy orthopedic surgeon. Vinnie Aurora was appointed the director for the GME Clinical Learning Environment, and I'll say a little bit more about one very big project that we tackled over the course of the last year. David Song was appointed Associate Dean for Continuing Medical Education, and Mihira Banama was appointed the Director of Continuing Medical Education. We also have several new course directors this year who are either in the process of planning their new course or actually already delivering it. So Andrew is joining Dr. Mark Siegler and David Rubin as a co-director for the doctor-patient relationship course, and he's already hard at work. The social context of medicine course was a very big hit this year. Glenn Randall took over last year as the course director for microbiology, and both Nicole and Cammie, two graduates of the Pritzker School of Medicine, are joining Steve Meredith as co-directors for the Cell Path and Immunology course. Nicole Meyer-Orloff, another graduate of our medical school, taking over as the director of the pediatrics clerkship in assessing fourth-year medical student experiences. Now, our architects also come in the form of our medical students. Our fourth-year student, Jameen Kim, is one of 19 physicians across the entire country to receive the AMA Physician of Tomorrow Award. Ramya is a second-year student in the MSTP program, and she was one of 30 students selected in this country as a Paul and Daisy Soros New American Fellow. And Rachel Stones, as I mentioned earlier, one of our second-year students, received the Aetna Foundation National Medical Fellowships Healthcare Leadership Program Award for her work serving underserved populations. Adam Vora, fourth-year medical student, actually also working on an MBA degree, is a student member this year for the Illinois State Medical Society's Board of Trustees. Our architects also come in the form of true giants who, over the course of this last year, passed away. And while we lost several of those giants, none is more giant than Dr. Donald Steiner, who passed away in November of 2014. Dr. Steiner's contributions to the field of medicine, to endocrinology in particular, and to diabetes work will stand the test of time, with the many contributions he made after his discovery of pro-insulin. We also lost an architect in the form of our own student, Katie Karras, who 1 year ago this month was found to have a recurrence of her disease, of her cancer. She entered palliative care and passed away in April of 2014. Now, our architects also come in the form of our alumni, and this is a photo of our most recent graduating class. So the way in which our alumni serve as architects, and I chose to feature this class in particular because they are a little bit more than halfway through that very first year of residency, so halfway through internship. My guess is they have probably had a whole range of emotions between the time they graduated on this beautiful May day in Chicago and January a year later. But it's not uncommon for us to hear from our alumni. One of the things that we hear from our alumni from time to time is that not only did they survive internship, but they've gone on to become the leaders of their program. And we don't have a systematic way of keeping track of each and every alum and where they end up. However, in our anecdotal sampling, we have chief residents populating residency programs all across the country in a whole variety of disciplines. You see, they don't even all fit on one slide. Here's a part of them. Here are more of them. And I also have a little email that, believe it or not, arrived just today because he not only wanted to say hi, he was looking to get us to verify some part of his education. But anyway, in the course of our response, he said, I just want you to know that it is super fun to hear that there is another State of the School address happening on tonight. I know that all of us out in residency programs across the country are always doing our best to make all of you guys proud. I have to say, the honor really belongs to Pritzker for preparing us to hit the ground running in residency and for setting us on the path to success. I am perpetually grateful for the preparation I received back in Chicago, and I'm very certain that I wouldn't be having the great opportunities that I've had without the strong foundation that I received from Pritzker, both in terms of clinical excellence and also personal growth and leadership. Please give everyone back in Chicago my best, and I will definitely stay in touch as things continue to unfold. So that kind of track record that our alumni create in residency programs all across the country paves the way for all of you to take your next step from your medical school experience into those residency programs. Now, it's also the case that our alumni after residency, there is life after residency, go on to achieve great things. And just a few weeks ago, we learned that the new governor of Illinois, Bruce Rauner, has appointed Nirav Shah, a graduate of our medical school and of our law school, as the director of the Illinois Department of Public Health. It's also the case that another one of our alums, Dr. Bill McDade, is serving this year as president of the Illinois State Medical Society, as well as chairman of the Council on Medical Education for the American Medical Association, in addition to his work as an anesthesiologist on our faculty and his work as a deputy provost for minority affairs in the provost's office on this campus. It's also the case that a vast variety of alumni, many of whom are actually sitting in this room with us tonight, continue to be very engaged in raising money to support Pritzker scholarships. And this is the most recent data published from the Association of American Medical Colleges showing the overall percentage of graduating medical students who have debts in the ranges that you see listed here, and you see the breakdown between public and private schools. So I certainly want to add my word of thanks to our alumni who continue to be on the front lines raising money for our student scholarships. Now, let's go to that third pillar, the pillar of our community. Our community, this very university, will celebrate its own birthday. Stay tuned for the fall quarter. I'm told that there will be many celebratory events underway in the fall of 2015. Now, the university will likely plan events that celebrate and honor our history, and I'm sure there will be a series of invitations that we will all want to take advantage of. But in case you'd like to have a celebration of another kind, it's also the case that our relationship with North Shore University celebrated 5 years this past March. And we actually, in fact, had a little bit of a celebration up at North Shore. I gave a talk, Rich Silver gave a talk, Dean Polonsky was there, and we traded gifts and hugs and smiles. And it really was a very nice affair. But 5 years later, I turned to our evaluation data to see what are the students saying about their experience at North Shore. And I have just a few quotes that I came upon. One is, Dr. Costello is a great educator and physician. She genuinely cares for her patients. It was a real pleasure learning from her and working under her direction. She made this rotation a lot of fun. It was very educational and practical. She treated me as a colleague and valued my role in patient care. Dr. Gimbel was one of my favorite attendings in all of medical school. He clearly likes to teach, and he does it very well. And then finally, a student, a few words, said, a 10 out of 10. It doesn't get any better than that. 10 out of 10. In other words, first the student wrote it as a digit, 10 out of 10, and then he wrote out the words 10 out of 10. His way of emphasizing how important North Shore was to him. Okay, now, it's also the case that in the 2015-2016 season, the Chicago Symphony Orchestra will also celebrate their 125th anniversary, and the Auditorium Theater will do the same thing. So it seems to me like this is the year to be in Chicago. Lots of celebrations. On this campus, we also have a number of people in new positions. I can't highlight them all, but we have a new provost, Eric Isaacs. We have a new program, the Institute for Politics, led by David Axelrod. And last summer, we already had an internship program where 2 of our students participated in internships with the Institute of Politics. And that will continue again this year. And this May, another alum of the Pritzker School of Medicine, Jeff Gordon, will be our divisional academic ceremony speaker. He is a very important physician at Washington University in St. Louis, has been on the cutting edge of the microbiome, has had important positions intersecting with the NIH, and feels a real affection for his medical school, the University of Chicago. This year was also the anniversary of the KAGA lecture, the 25th anniversary, and Dr. Mark Siegler delivered that lecture this last October. Stay tuned. In April, Dr. Mike Parmachek, the chair of medicine at the University of Pennsylvania and the former chief of cardiology and faculty member at the University of Chicago. He was not chief of cardiology here. He was chief of cardiology at Penn, but he was a faculty member in cardiology here before he went to Penn. He will be delivering the 2015 KAGA lecture. It's also the case that our community includes as a central piece the Pritzker Initiative. Helena Bruckner manages the day-to-day operation of this curriculum with a very large team of very talented and innovative faculty and staff. And that curriculum was focused on in Medicine on the Midway and actually covered way beyond the medical school, beginning with our pipeline programs and extending into residencies, fellowships, and continuing medical education. Our community also has celebratory events, and this year we were really honored to have Kimmy Carter serve as our white coat ceremony speaker when we welcomed our newest class of medical students to the medical school. This year, for the very first time in the history of the AMSA scorecard, the Pritzker School of Medicine received an A for its conflict of interest policies. And this work is largely the result of Vinnie Aurora, Marilyn Hansel from our legal office, and Elizabeth Rodriguez. Prior to that, we actually had been scoring Bs. I don't know if maybe we even had a C in the very first. No, we never had a C. Vinnie told me we never had a C. B minus, though, and B plus. But this year we got an A for our conflict of interest policies, and I can tell you it's a very high bar to get an A from the AMSA group on our conflict of interest policies. We also had a terrific medical education day. One new master was elected to our Academy of Distinguished Medical Educators, Barrett Fromey. Several new fellows representing a wide variety of departments here on campus, and including one of our colleagues from North Shore, Dr. Ernie Wang. Now, I know many of you have seen this. The I don't know video, right? So do you know what the total number of hits on YouTube are for the I don't know video? 1.5 million as of this week. Okay, and this made by a very busy third-year student and an incredible cast of all of you and our faculty. It's also the case that Kevin MD, the blog, how many of you read that blog? A few of you read Kevin MD. It's probably the most popular blog among medical blogs. Kevin MD's blog in 2014 had more hits for his mention of this video than any other single medical topic he covered. Okay, our community also includes a CME and GME, and this year for the very first time, we had a boot camp for our incoming interns. Our simulation center has shown dramatic growth, including training and preparation for Ebola, for basic life support, for the boot camp, and a whole host of other activities. And I mentioned that Vinnie Aurora last year had been appointed to this new position as director of CLEAR. Well, here it is, the clinical learning environment. And last July, we had our very first site visit from the CLEAR site visit team. And a big shout out to not only Vinnie's leadership, but the work of our GME office, Mike Simon, Barry Kamen, Kristen Hirsch, and very, very importantly, quality and safety, Stephen Weber, Mike Howell, and equally importantly, Debbie Albert. And as you go forward, a heads up, moving into 2015 and beyond, we have just formed a brand new steering committee for CLEAR and interprofessional learning, medical nursing, physical therapy, pharmacy, together with undergraduate medical education, graduate medical education, quality and safety are all a part of this, so that we will be planning educational experiences for students, residents, faculty, fellows, together with our colleagues in nursing, pharmacy, physical therapy, etc. It's, I think, a very exciting opportunity and one that we look forward to getting underway. Now, our community also includes that this year, a very long-serving member of our admissions team, Sylvia Robertson, will retire after 26 years at the University of Chicago and 22 years welcoming classes to the Pritzker School of Medicine. And we will have the opportunity in due course to celebrate and thank Sylvia. But I just wanted to remind the assembled group of the enthusiasm that the more than 7,000 applicants who have applied to our medical school for admission into the class that will start in 2015 have to join all of you. So I have two little emails that we received from recently accepted applicants. This first one came to us on October 17th at 7:39 p.m., and I'm reading just an excerpt. Dear Miss Robertson, it was an absolute honor receiving your phone call, an honor up until that moment I had only dreamed about. My mother could not stop crying. And I must admit, I teared up myself. I cannot wait to meet you in person and to arrive on campus at the University of Chicago next fall. I am beyond excited. The adrenaline is still pumping as I'm making plans for my future. I was just hoping to confirm the scholarship amount if possible. Wednesday was incredibly dreamlike for me, and I just want to make sure that I heard you correctly. Even in email form, it almost seems too good to be true. I look forward to hearing back from you. And then a second email that came on October 19th, 2014 at 10:04 a.m. Dear Ms. Robertson, I hope you are having a lovely weekend. Since our conversation on Wednesday, I have been so excited I haven't been able to sleep. It feels like the weight of uncertainty and the stress of the medical school application process has suddenly been lifted from my shoulders. Thank you again for sharing this most amazing news. I was so excited during our telephone conversation that I'm afraid a few of the details that you shared with me didn't stick. Would you mind providing the details about those scholarships one more time? So Sylvia tells me that we get even more incredible letters later in the season when we start taking students off the wait list. So stay tuned. There's more excitement and energy out there. Now, it's also the case that when you work really closely with the students and young faculty, you have the great privilege and honor of other things that take place in life, such as marriage. We had a number of students get married in 2014. And as you can see, sometimes they marry someone who's not another student. And other times, they marry somebody who is another student. Now, it's also the case that members of our community have babies. And James is actually the baby of an alum and current chief resident in the Department of Medicine. Sonia is the baby of two of the faculty members who have been featured in this presentation. And Emma is the baby of my assistant, Candace Tate. It's also the case that our students have babies. And they have babies in second year, and they have babies in fourth year, and they have babies during the interview process for residency, and they have babies when they are getting multiple degrees. And anyway, it's kind of just a wonderful opportunity to watch the circle of life right in front of your eyes. And so we arrive back to the Phoenix that grew up out of the ashes. And I've tried to give you a summary of some of the high points of 2014 while simultaneously pointing out some of those things we have to look forward to in 2015. But I can't leave that student lounge fire without mentioning that, in fact, we did open another student lounge in Mitchell Hospital this past year. And this student lounge, you can see we had a little celebration with balloons. This student lounge on the very first floor of Mitchell Hospital is really the hard work of the very top of our organization, Sharon O'Keefe, who made the decision and provided the money to make this student lounge in Mitchell Hospital happen. And she did that because we opened the CCD, and our student lounge in Billings Hospital is several blocks from the CCD. And so now we're closer. We're in Mitchell, and Sharon O'Keefe is the one who made that happen. The person who literally implemented the day-to-day task of getting that all done is our very own Kate Blythe. So in the middle of the fire, it was our staff member, Don Chirilla, who was here in the middle of the night with his two children. And as we do our day-to-day work, Kate Blythe and the many other staff members who support our medical students, our residents, our fellows, and our faculty are holding up the infrastructure that allow us to do our work. So I wanted to actually invite all of you to join me in thanking the staff who do their work every day, sometimes in the middle of the night, to make this school possible. Now, I don't want you to think that that new student lounge that we opened in Mitchell Hospital will in any way take the place of our burned-up student lounge in the BSLC. And so just as that fire started our year off, Dean Polonsky is committed to helping us build a new student lounge in the BSLC. And not only will that lounge allow you to warm up your food between those CPP lectures, but more importantly, it will, in fact, allow knowledge to grow from more to more, and so be human life enriched. Thank you very much.